Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're joined by Marco Teruzin. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. The Chief Commercial and Product Officer at Energy Vault, a very exciting company at the forefront of long duration energy storage. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Marco.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. So let's kind of jump right into things for people that are new to the name or new to the sector. Do you think you could provide an overview of the company, including how your technology compares to pumped hydro storage, which is really, call it the long duration industry bellwether? It's something that's been used for over 100 years, right? Your technology is very similar, at least in my mind's eye. So we'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I think I'm very excited. In the last 4 years of working at Energy Vault, it was essential to introduce not only a new player in the field of energy, but also an innovator, a company that was able to fill a gap between fundamental technologies that are needed in the marketplace to accelerate the transition and the interpretation of the solution and the use cases that are essential for customers to enable them to achieve decarbonization in their target. Energy Vault is a company focused on the integration of energy storage technologies, and ultimately also in providing customers with the asset management to make sure that they can increase the value from an environmental point of view and financial point of view of their energy asset. Doing that, we have created a value proposition that is unique in the marketplace because we offer energy storage solutions that are able to fulfill the need for short duration, something in a range between 30 minutes to 4 hours. This is the market that currently is dominant in the industry. Medium to long duration, so medium to long with the duration between 4 hours to 12 hours, and we cover this area with our proprietary technology, the gravity energy storage solution. That later we can talk more about that. And recently, we have also been able to provide a unique combination of green hydrogen and lithium ion for extra long duration, for the 24 to 48 hours duration, to fulfill and to help utilities like PG&E, the company that we recently signed a contract for 700 megawatt hour of energy storage, so extra long duration at a very attractive price, to solve problem like wildfire. In Northern California, it's well known that during in the autumn season, there is the risk that the local utility has to de-energize the line, and then large areas they can face blackout or brownout. And we have been able to provide a solution that will mitigate significantly that problem. So all of these short, medium, and long duration energy storage solution, ultimately, they are supported with our energy management software that is essential to enable customers to operate smoothly these assets standalone or in coordination with the other existing assets that they have, with the ultimate goal to provide an easy platform to the customer and optimize their financial value.
Yeah, and I think what you touched upon there in terms of the software management is really key to effectively utilizing your long duration energy storage. So, as you're looking out, as the United States moves toward renewable energy, how do you envision the long duration energy storage market evolving along with energy sources?
Thank you for the question, because I think that the interpretation of how the so-called long duration energy storage market will materialize will ultimately drive the technology that are able to provide a real service to this transition, and the technology and the company that eventually will not be able to support this transition. So we believe at Energy Vault, it's a relatively young company. We became a public company in 2022, February 14th, 2022. And just in 1 year, we have been able to capture the trust and signing large contracts with utilities like Nevada Energy, PG&E, and large IPPs like Jupiter Power. why we have been able to achieve this type of result, again, with a multiple solution from a very short duration, 2 hours, to 96 hours duration. Because we provide a platform, and we believe that ultimately we have to serve the market with solutions that fulfill and are able to address the problem that a customer are facing today, with platform that is expandable and I can support the increase in duration, because this is inevitable. The introduction of additional intermittent renewable energy is calling for longer duration, for period of time during which you do not have a generation asset actively pumping energy into the grid. It's obvious that a solar, the sun doesn't shine overnight and the wind doesn't blow continuously. And you have this expanded and increasing need for energy storage that is increasing over time. However, we want to help customers in this transition. And the transition technically is going from, in average, the 1 hour, 2 hours duration needed today to make it economically attractive, the acquisition and purchase of this asset, to the 4, 6, 8 hours of duration that is materializing in different way in the part of the world. For example, California is moving to 6 hours resource adequacy contract earlier than other parts of the world, but it will take some time, 2 years, 4 years. So our interpretation of how to help customer in this transition is driven by the necessity to help them now and entering in large contract and technological agreement to enable this transition in an economic manner over the next 2, 4, 6 years.
Yeah, I think that's right. Certainly, that will require a lot of flexibility. Speaking of enhancements and being flexible and meeting needs, what do you think needs to happen to the U.S. electric grid over the next 5 years in order to facilitate this electrification of everything that we're experiencing, certainly the electrification of the automobile?
You're mentioning specifically the electrification of the transportation sector with a private car and also commercial vehicle. So there are, when we look at the transformation that is happening in the power generation sector, sometimes we underestimate the meaning of electrifying the transportation sector. So we are talking about installing probably 3x of the generation asset, the electrical generation asset that are available today. So when we will have a transportation sector with fully in place, let's say by 2035 or by 2040, the stress and the quantity of generation asset needed is mesmerizing. So the challenge is in a certain way is also intimidating. However, that is an additional reason to increase resiliency in the grid and to accelerate the investment in new technologies. That is essential for a smooth transition. Something that, in my opinion, sometimes is underestimated is the fact that we are converging between these two sectors. We are converging on a single source of energy, the so-called electrification of multiple sectors, that can increase the average risk in the industry. Because during a blackout or a de-energization of an electrical line, in the past, that had an impact only on the device powered by electricity. In the future, if we have also the transportation sector fueled by electricity, we are going toward a system that is much more sensitive to the electrical source as a generation asset. So what does it mean? That the requirement for storage, any form of technology, is even more important, and creating a technological platform that will help not only the generation, the energy, the power sector, to tackle this transition, but also the transportation sector, is essential and paramount to making this smooth, economically manageable, and also from a risk perspective, manageable again, because the underlying risk is pretty high.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for that fulsome response. I guess getting back to your core product, in terms of project economics for your customers, how does your solution compare with existing long-duration energy storage solutions in terms of cost to operate, cost to own?
Yeah. When we talk about a long-duration energy storage, we have a couple of proprietary technology. We have our well-known gravity energy storage solution that it takes advantage of a very low cost of energy, marginal cost of energy, because we are talking about adding bricks to our stack, our EVX product, and that the marginal cost to add one additional kWh or megawatt hour is relatively low. So that is very attractive, in particular on a long duration energy, on a levelized cost of storage basis. We have also been introducing in the market an extra long duration technology, this combination of a green hydrogen that is providing a very low energy marginal cost to a combination of a lithium-ion batteries covering the first hour to be able to provide a black start capabilities with additional 47 hours of low marginal cost of energy represented by the green hydrogen. The particular application for this 48 hours duration was, in any case, helping us in offering to PG&E a utility that has ultimately to report to the Public Utility Commission. And so they have to be absolutely economically attractive in terms of the solution that they are choosing. There was the use case that requires a limited number of dispatching per year was important to make this architecture economically attractive. Going back to our core technology, gravity, the first unit that will be installed in south of in China, south of Shanghai, Rudong. This is very exciting because we are installing one of the largest long duration energy storage system by the time that unit will be available and connected to the grid. We are talking about end of Q2, beginning of Q3 2023. And that was the manifestation of the desire across multiple continents, and particularly the collaboration between our company and that part of the world that is deeply affected by climate change, and a significant amount of renewable energy that is introduced on a monthly basis. And that is a manifestation of the interest and the evidence of the interest of the electrical, one of the largest electrical grid, to adopt one technology that is solving the problem of long duration. The second unit that we are installing will be installed here in the United States, in Texas, and the application initially is only for 2 hours duration. So that is super interesting because we have been able to introduce our technology that is ideal for a long duration energy storage on a use case that is relatively, of course, limited in terms of application, because we started with a 2 hours duration. But this was exactly what the customer wanted. They wanted to test the platform in a market at Texas that is ideal only from an economic perspective for 2 hours. And the plan is to expand that technology platform to be ready 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now to increase the duration of the system and capture not only the good economics of that project that is under construction currently in Texas, but also the attractiveness of the economics from a long duration energy storage perspective of the unit that will be deployed going forward.
Yes, that's very interesting, mentioning that these facilities can be expanded upon and that their roles can change over time as customer needs change over time. I think many investors are acquainted with your gravity towers, right? They're impressive. They're relatively easy to understand. You touched upon it a little bit earlier, but I think that your software solutions are far less frequently discussed. How important do you think software development and software sales is to the future of your business model?
Oh, essential. Without doubt, if we limited our offer to foundational technologies, very attractive technology like gravity for a long duration energy storage application or extra long duration, but without providing the customer with the interface and algorithms to optimize the dispatching of this asset, for sure we will not be successful and we will not provide value to the customer. So we design an architecture for our software that relies on the fundamental assumption to make things simple for the customer, providing a very large portfolio of use cases. So we are not limiting the customer to use our software for exclusively our asset and a limited number of applications, but the software is ideal to orchestrate the asset standalone or in conjunction with the existing asset. This is very important from a customer perspective. We do not want to create an impediment to the customer just pushing for our product. We are always thinking, what is the problem that we are solving for the customer? We want to be customer centric. And when an asset is installed and deployed in the market, from immediately the following day, the customer is interacting with that asset through an energy management software. And if that software is not designed in a way that understands the customer need, we are providing a disservice to the customer. So reversing the approach, we are thinking, how can we provide the best asset management experience to multiple customers like utilities, independent power producer, and large energy users with a set of needs and use cases that are different. A large energy user like a mining company may have a need to minimize the cost of transportation of their trucks at a mine company. An IPP may have the need to maximize the value of ancillary service into bidding of that asset in the balancing authority. So if we created a software that can fulfill only one or the other of these services, we will not be able to generate the synergies and the data collection that is essential ultimately to the optimization of our algorithm that a customer ultimately will enjoy and will be able to use to maximize one more time their environmental and financial value.
Great, Marco. And we have a question from the audience. What are your weights, or the movable kinetic mass? What are those made out of? Are there any environmental ramifications, and how long do they last?
So the size and the weight of this mass may change based on the application, but for our standard solution, the EVX, every mobile mass has a weight of 25 metric tons. That was optimized to make sure that the operation to move one of these mobile buses from the lower part of the deck to the upper part of the deck is optimal from an operation and maintenance point of view, and is optimal also in terms of maximizing the round trip efficiency and the power output of the EVX. Second, in terms of the material, we are using locally sourced soil with a polymer that is able to create the minimum mechanical strength that is needed to build these mobile masses that ultimately are lifted from the bottom. So they are not stuck one on top of the other, because that will create a more the need for a higher mechanical resistance of these mobile masses. They are independently positioned in the lower deck or the higher deck of part of the system. And we have also the ability to incorporate in these mobile masses remediation material. This can be coal combustion residuals, something that represent today a liability for many utilities, from utility with a large fleet of a coal power plant, or even utilities with a new asset, a wind asset, that after 10, 15 years, they have to replace blades. And currently, wind blades represent an environmental problem. We have developed, in collaboration with our partner, in particular in Alkaline Power, a process to take apart the wind blade, crush and create thin fibers that can be dispersed into the material matrix that we are using as a foundation for the manufacturing of the mobile masses. So if we go from a very simple and inexpensive energy storage medium, soil, with a specific polymer that helps in the formation of this solid medium at a very low cost and a relatively fast process, and the ability also to add into the mobile masses remediation material, you have an ideal solution not only to create an energy storage medium that is attractive from an economic perspective, but is also an energy storage medium that is able to fix environmental problems. Existing environmental problems that have been generated in the last 15, 20 years plus because of the combustion of coal at power plant, but also the new problems that are happening and that will happen because of the disposal of wind blades.
Yeah, thanks for touching on that. I think that's a very important and often overlooked aspect of your story that can be used as a force for positive disposal of waste. Marco, thank you so much for joining us today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I think that our audience has also gained from it. We look forward to having you again in the very near future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.